Greetings and welcome back to the Better Time Challenge. I'm Sean Episcopo from NoHusbandLeftBehind.com. In this session, we'll be answering your questions about time and celebrate. Welcome to week 5. Now, remember, my friend, that throughout this challenge, we've been focusing our energy and our efforts on your time and helping you with establishing what really matters the most to you. That's what's really important to get on your calendar, my friend. What is it that's in your heart and that you're in your mind that is truly of significant value? But then for those of us that are also married, let's integrate what's important to our spouse as well. And then for those of us of the Christian faith, let's also be very mindful about what our loving God has for us to do. And remember, I've said it before, but I believe the time is just far too valuable to waste, my friend. Deep down inside, I believe that we have just enough time to finish the things which are truly most important. And that's not just from our point of view. I think that's more so from our Creator's point of view. Now, I believe that throughout any given day, any moment throughout the day, we do have options. Some things we should say yes to, and other things we should say no to. Perhaps something may present itself that you want to do, but you're working on a priority, something of significant value, something that's very important to you. You could always say maybe later. I can't do it now, but maybe later if it's something that's really important. But now, deep down inside, throughout any given day, any given week, I really want you to try to do more of the things which you do enjoy and less of those things which you really do not. Now, this week, we're talking about celebrate. So we've had 4 other sessions. This is our fifth session, fifth and final session in this challenge. And the question that I really want you to consider, my friend, if it actually applies, is what accomplishments have you enjoyed recently? I know many of us have some form of accomplishments. I mean, getting out of bed might be considered an accomplishment, right? Eating a healthy meal might be a great accomplishment. It depends on how you're looking at it. But the question I want you to consider is what accomplishments have you taken the time to really enjoy? And if you will, celebrate. Deep down inside, I like the idea of us all learning to celebrate the life that our wonderful Heavenly Father has given us. Our Creator has also given us an opportunity to be a blessing to other people. So I want to celebrate that. Now, just a real quick recap of the action steps for this session. The first thing I want you to do, my friend, is to remember to always celebrate every aspect of your life, not just certain things. I mean, maybe you get a bonus at work and you get excited about your financial life. That's great. Go ahead and celebrate. But let us not forget that there are other parts of our lives, maybe doing better, maybe not as well as we want them to be, but let's celebrate what we do have, the physical life, our spiritual life, the people connected to us and so on, right? So all the pieces as a whole, kind of think about a puzzle that comes together that makes one beautiful canvas of our life. Now, the second thing I want you to do in this session is to celebrate the people that you care about the absolute most. It's always nice to take time if we can especially focus on those who have loved us and supported us. They mean the world to us, right? And then the third thing I want us to do, let's celebrate your challenges and opportunities. This one may be a little bit more difficult. When you think about things and people, it's a little bit easier, right? But those things that keep us up at night, the things that kind of stress us out, even, let's remember that these things are help building muscle. They're making us more prepared for what may lie ahead. So the good and the not so good. Now, for those of us that are married, remember, I want you to always integrate and include your life partner in everything. So now that we're celebrating, let's celebrate with our spouse. Let's not just celebrate in the closet or, what I mean, like alone. Let's celebrate with our life partner. And, if you have a best friend you like to celebrate with, that's always enjoyable, my friend. But for those of us that are married, I want you to consider setting aside some alone time, quality time where you can just spend some time and celebrate just the two of you. Maybe share a meal together where you talk about the things you've accomplished together as a couple, and even, of course, share your individual achievements as well. Now, let's go ahead and get into the questions. This is the most important part of this session. Each week, we've been going over questions about time. And they're, of course, welcome today as well. But in this session, we're focusing on this opportunity to be able to celebrate. So if you have any questions that have to do with celebrating, they're also what we're looking for today. And if you haven't thought of anything before this session, feel free to get back to me in the future. But we do have some questions that have already come in. The first one is when I was a kid, I enjoyed birthdays and holidays, but not really so much now as an adult. Well, the truth is, my friend, I honestly think that a lot of us go through that. When we're a child, perhaps it's getting that new present, that new toy, whatever it may have been for birthday or Christmas or whenever you were able to celebrate as a child. And I guess the birthday cake, even if it was just a little cupcake, a little bit of ice cream, but then maybe being able to celebrate with a friend, if you had a sibling, a brother or a sister, that was kind of fun, I guess. Maybe as we get older, we're just so consumed with doing, I know most of my day is producing results. I want to get things done and checked off. I want to help make someone else's life better if possible. And to me, it's achievements, constantly doing and doing. And I think that's why this session is so important for me as well, because I think we need to remember to take time to celebrate. And maybe that is a birthday, maybe it's a holiday, but my friend, remember, you can just celebrate life. Every morning I thank God for the day, for an opportunity for me to be here on earth in the land of the living. Whatever time I have left, I want to celebrate that because it's an opportunity not just to make things better for my family and closest of friends, but for those who connect with me in some way or another, even those I pass by in the grocery store and so on. So I like to celebrate the opportunity to be able to have another day. Another question is, what do you think about celebrating a loved one's birthday even after they have passed away? My friend, I've heard of different people doing this, and truthfully, I have no problem with it. Some people may kind of question that, but it's like having photos of people that have passed on, loved ones, and, maybe a best friend from a childhood or, whoever it could be, people that have made your life better in some way. Maybe a boss that you had that retired and you got your picture taken with him or her. And the truth is, even once they pass on, I like to keep the photos and I do like to remember, maybe it's even a loved one, like a spouse, like a husband or a wife, once they pass away. I think it's great to remember their birthdays. The truth is, I don't put any of this stuff on the calendar, but I still remember my grandparents' birthdays, and they've been gone for about a quarter of a century now. And it's just when it comes around that time of year, I just naturally remember. And I like to thank God for the good that they were able to invest in my life. And hopefully, that from the other side, they get to look back and to see what a blessing that they have made into my life. So I think it's a good thing, my friend. Next question is, I would like to set aside some time for personal growth, but right now my days are extremely long. Um, that's a good point, my friend. Sometimes people will consider personal growth where you take a class or you have to set aside time if you have to be there live, or maybe you've got to be quiet enough and focus. Even if you're reading a book or certain things like that, I'm going to encourage you to consider trying to overlap your personal growth with something else you're already doing. For instance, if you can play a podcast while you're doing something else around the house, or even on your lunch break at work, or your commute time back and forth to work, whatever you can do where you're doing something that's already a part of your routine, if you can overlap it with something, especially if you don't mind trying the audio format, let something play in the background, let your subconscious hear it. At least that would be my starting point. But if you have any area where you can cut a little bit of the time, if you have a little bit of things where maybe you can trim off certain things just to free up time, that's also another option, of course, if you prefer to do this in a quieter place. Let's see, next question. Do Christians usually celebrate the date that they got saved? That's a good question, my friend. I've known people that do celebrate it, considering it their second birthday, the date they were born again when they gave their heart to Jesus. But I've also known other people that did not. I think many reasons because they probably don't remember the exact date. It may have been a Christmas play. It could have been an Easter cantata. It could have been, like a certain event. They may remember the year, or they may not. I know when I grew up as a child, I gave my heart to Jesus while I was still very young. And, in those early years, like in elementary school, you know, somebody may have wrote it down for me. It could have been in a children's Bible, but I've gone through a number of different Bibles, from reading the scriptures, regularly for so many years now because it's been years and even decades. So I want to encourage you, if you do want to celebrate it, I think it's wonderful to celebrate. I'm going to be the one to encourage you to celebrate anything and everything that you feel is of value to you. And of course, feel free to celebrate with your family members, your friends, whatever's important to them as well. Let's see, another question is I enjoy celebrating my anniversary, especially during those big milestones, 5 years, 10 years, and so on. I like the idea that people do celebrate their anniversary. I'm going to encourage you, make sure you do celebrate that every year. And like you said, it's especially the milestones. Those milestones are probably worth doing something a little bit extra. If you haven't gotten out of town together for a weekend or even just a night, just to do something different. Maybe a hike in the park, maybe a little picnic or something. It's nice to do something every anniversary as best you can, even when the weather's not permitting outside, maybe to do something inside. And I think it's a beautiful thing to celebrate the milestones. I remember my wife and I celebrated, and it might sound silly to say it out loud, but you may have heard of in marriage that 7 year itch that marriage counselors would like to talk about. Well, we took and we, set aside that during our seventh anniversary, we're going to make sure we do something special together, just the two of us. And so that wasn't, on the 5 and 10 and whatnot. We've been doing something as best as we can every year. But I agree with you. Have those milestones because you're going to remember those anniversaries more so from what you did rather than just saying, well, we survived and made it to 7 years or we made it to 10 years. So I think that's beautiful, my friend. Last question is, how much time should I invest into planning each day? Well, when it comes to planning your day, my friend, I don't know how extensive your planning is. Well, I'll tell you what I like to do. I've done different forms of planning for my personal life and in business. And, I've helped others, to some extent. I've done paper planners, if you remember the daytime planners. I've started doing that a long time ago when I was in my early working years, just trying to stay organized. But I've even used notebook paper, just lined notebook paper where I just write things down. The things that are most important for any given day, things I need to say to somebody, things I need to do, maybe even do for somebody or, do on my, task list or project list. Yeah, I like to keep track of things that I have to take care of at home and or, for family. But then I also like to make sure that I'm planning things for work, what time I need to be there, what the priorities may be if I've already started on a project, and so on. Now, you can plan, like if you volunteer at your church, you might want to just keep track of the time you need to be there and what it's for. I would tell you that I prefer to spend as little time as possible planning so that I can invest more time with the doing. But I don't like to cut the planning too short to where I forget something of significant value. Now, if you do plan like on a digital device, on your laptop, on your phone, or something. Most of those that I've used throughout the years have the ability, if you put it in once, if you're volunteering, like say, every Saturday for the month of whatever, you can put that in. If you got to be at work at the same time every Monday through Friday, the hours, you can put that in one time and then just update it if, things change. Now, if you do the paper format, if you just want to do basic, I'm actually right now doing as much as I can on paper with pen because I can then carry things a lot easier in my pocket for the day. And when I get distracted, people start wanting this, that, and the other. I can pull it out and say, wait a minute, let me just make sure my priorities are done. I can always call you back later because people are the most important thing to me. I believe that God has connected us. You look at the Old Testament of the Bible, the New Testament of the Bible, God has always connected people as the priority. And Jesus connected to us is a game changer, especially for all eternity. So I don't want to ever set people on the back burner and let them, not get attended to. I'd rather let my projects, take another day or, I'll focus on them maybe next week. So hopefully that helps, my friend. Now, I want to remind you that if you want access to everything in the Better Time Challenge, if you've not yet enrolled, remember to enroll at the website BTC for Better Time Challenge dot nohusbandleftbehind.com. This is going to make sure that you're getting access to the video trainings, to the Q&A sessions, to the workbook, to any updates, additional tools and resources that come out available even after this challenge, is recorded and everything is available to you. We're going to do our best to continually add things as time goes on. I want to make sure that you're getting access to everything. Now, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if anything comes up either today or at any point in the future, my friend, be sure to let me know. It doesn't have to necessarily be about time or the things we went over today. If you have questions about the Christian faith or about family or marriage or whatever it might be, let me know what you're thinking. If there's any way I can help you, if I have any experience or any shortcuts or any way to get you on the fast track, that's exactly what I want for you, my friend. Now, if you will, take a moment, like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, share this with a friend. And the last thing I want to ask you to do, if you've not been to our website recently, if you wouldn't mind checking out nohusbandleftbehind.com. This is where you're going to find additional resources. You're going to be able to connect with me and others within the community. And let me know if there's anything else beyond this challenge that you're interested in. We have other challenges and workshops that are intended to come out in the foreseeable future. And I look forward to hearing about the wonderful things our Heavenly Father is doing in your life. God bless, my friend.